What's going on, guys? Matt here, back again with another video. Today we've got a new series that we've got going on, and we're going to start with a draft investing tier for the class of 2019-20. I think it'd be a good way to have a bit of fun and just go through my thoughts and what I think of each player. I'll break it down into drafts and parts of each draft. So the first draft that we're going to be doing is the 2019-20 draft, and we'll do the first 10 picks in the draft and just rank them according to my scale. So first off, before I start, I just want to say I hope no one gets offended at what I think. Obviously, I've been wrong a fair few times. So, yeah, it's just what I think and how my brain works with it. So if I say I don't really like someone, then that's just my opinion. Don't think it's fact and take it to heart or anything like that. But I've basically gone on tiermaker.com and just separated it into 5 categories. So typically you have your S, A, B, C, and D categories, but I've just made it into an invest now long term. So the invest now long term would be someone I'm saying that, yeah, obviously you're investing in them long term. Someone that I think will be an all-time great. Invest now in the short term is someone I would be holding for the next sort of couple of years. I probably wouldn't be holding him like in like 10 years time, but more so in the short term because they might be a great sort of all-star caliber player. Maybe not like an all-time great, but maybe a couple of all-stars or something like that. Hold may have potential, maybe someone who's a bit of a sleeper, or we have to wait and see a little bit more. More someone that you can just get maybe a little bit more cheaper and just see, or wait a little bit longer to see what they can actually show. Sell, obviously I don't really rate them. I probably would want to sell them. There might be factors that going against them, or they've shown a bit and I just don't like it, or it's just something that I just don't like about them. Obviously in an NBA sense, not in a personal sense, and don't know enough. Again, I won't know every single player. There'll be little things that I might not like and might not know about. But yeah, if I don't know enough and I don't want to be giving out and saying like I'd be investing in them, I won't be investing in them. I'll just put them into this category. So I'll do the top 10 picks in order. I've got their Prism cards here. I'm not saying technically go for their Prism card, but more so just as, yeah, it's just the easiest card I can get online of them. And it fits in well because everyone can recognize the Prism cards and what they look like. So first up with Zion, I am going to put Zion in the sell. No, I'm going to put him in the invest now long-term category. So with Zion, I do like him long-term. I think he's shown in the couple of years that he has the potential to be an all-time great barring injury. I really like him. I like the situation he's in. Potentially, if Brandon Ingram has to go because they don't, one of them can't be that number. I don't think they can have both of them being that alpha. I think one of them has to defer. So I don't know if Brandon Ingram will be that person to defer, but at some point they're going to have to make that decision, and I think they're going to want to build around Zion. So I think Zion as an all-time great is quite possible. I think he can potentially be on an all-star team a fair few times. I think he's he's a trend-worthy player. Any sort of highlight dunks that he has are going to be on ESPN. I think he can potentially win championships. He's got that play style where he can win a few championships. We haven't really seen what he can do yet. He's only, he's 20 years old or 21 years old. So there's so much time left. And I think for me personally, looking into Zion, I can comfortably say now that I would invest in him and hold him for 5 to 10 years and be happy with that because, I really do like the way he's played. When he first came into the NBA, I wouldn't have been a buy on him at all. Like I had a few Prism bases that I got for around $50 each, but sold them off, and I've watched him again from afar, and I'm really liking the way he's playing and going about it. So first player, Zion, can go into the S category or the invest now in long-term category. Second player, Ja Morant. So Ja Morant, I personally have him in the invest now short-term category. Oh, I don't know, that's not going in there. Here we go. So my reasoning for this, look, I like the way Ja plays. It's just when you compare him to, this is the thing with a lot of these players, is you have to try and compare them to all-time greats. It's what is the comparison to? Because there's a lot of players on that Ja level, but no one's going to really be long-term that top 50 all-time great. I think Zion has that potential to be the top 50 all-time great, but does Ja? I'm not really too sure about that. And even the players on the lower end of the top 50, their rookies don't even sell that greatly. So whether Ja's cards hold up long-term in 10, 15 years, like maybe 10 years time because he's winning a championship, but not in 20 years time. I think it's, will people eventually work out that he He peaks like a 20 point per game and an 8 or 9 assist per game player. Like that's not the worst thing. There's a few players like that. Like it's just how much higher can he go. So for me personally, I would have him more in the short term. I just don't know what I can see his sort of ceiling being. But yeah, I'd have him in the short term. So again, don't get offended at any of this stuff, please. But just have a look at and see and make your own observations. And also let me know in the comments what you guys think. You can even go by each player and whether you agree or not, or what you'd have each player in this so-called tier list of mine. So next player, RJ Barrett of the New York Knicks. I would have RJ Barrett in the same thing as well. I'd have him in the invest now short term. I probably would have had him in the third tier. I wasn't really too happy with the way he started the season last year. He was very inefficient. I think that's been one of the biggest gripes with him, is his inefficiency, but did see a great scoring run of RJ where he was shooting quite well and scoring quite well, obviously. Playing at a really good market team in the NBA, a big market team, in the New York Knicks. Whether he stays there long term, his cards might see a bit of a bump because, he's on a great team. So I can comfortably have RJ in that invest now short term. Whether he can get to that long term sort of thing, I'm not too sure. Again, I don't know what his ceiling is. I'm pretty sure in college he wasn't really a great shooter either. So that's the thing. When you get to the NBA, you have to work on these things. So yeah, he's someone I would be in the short term on. But yeah, I'd go with that for him. Next player, DeAndre Hunter from the Atlanta Hawks. So DeAndre Hunter, I could have him up here and then I could also have him down here. But that's the thing. You can't have too many players that you're investing in. So I'm going to put DeAndre Hunter in the hold may have potential category. And the reasoning I have him for this is I think he is a great player. I like him. He's a perfect prototype player for the current NBA in that 3-and-D player. Great defender, can defend all 5 positions in the NBA. Great 3-point shooter, was shooting over 40% for a large period during the season. The one gripe I've got against him right now is his injury history and what his ceiling will be. So DeAndre Hunter, can he be that over 20 point per game scorer and a consistent defender? That's going to be the interesting thing. And what can he really do? Can he get to that Kawhi level? I don't actually know what his player projections are cast to be, like a Kawhi or a Paul George. If you can get to that level, I'd have them in that sort of short-term category. Kawhi is more in the long-term, Paul George more in the short-term, but that's the thing. I'd probably have it as a hold right now, and yeah, you can maybe stash a few away in your collection or investment for that sort of purpose. Next player up, Darius Garland. I can't even say his name right now. So Darius Garland, I would have him in the invest now position. So Cleveland's a very interesting team right now. So they're wanting, the rumors are going around that they're wanting to trade Collin Sexton or not willing to pay him long term. So they're obviously looking at Garland. They like Garland more than Sexton. So this is the thing I'm looking at now. They've drafted Isaac Okoro in the draft as well. They also had Mobley. They've also got Jarrett Allen. So the bigs are stacked, and they really just need a consistent guard. And I think Garland is the one. So it's been funny because for both Cleveland draft picks with Collin Sexton and Garland, both rookie years at the start of the year or the first few months, everyone was saying like these guys are no good. Collin Sexton was getting like the comments from his teammates saying he doesn't know how to play basketball. Darius Garland was just getting the he's a bust sort of pick called about him. But in both of their second years, they've obviously made that push and they've both done quite well. So I think Garland can get to that 20 point per game average. If Sexton does go, I'd definitely look at him to get above that. He's very efficient for a guard and a shooter and a scorer. So I can see Garland being in that short-term category. Don't know about being long-term. It's just like, if he becomes that great scorer, it's like, well, can he actually win? I'd have him in the short-term category for me personally. Next player up, Jarrett Culver. So I would have Jarrett Culver. Check this. Sorry. I'd have Jarrett Culver in the sell category. So for me, Jarrett Culver, point guard in the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's got a crap situation going for him right now. He has Anthony Edwards in front of him. He also has D'Angelo Russell. Malik Beasley is in front of him as well. And Jarrett Culver's a taller point guard, or is he a shooting guard? I'm not too sure. I know he's from Texas Tech. But the issue with him is he's not getting the best playing time. His averages from last season dropped from his rookie year, and he's very inefficient. I think I actually saw that his free throw percentage was around 60%, or maybe it was like 40%. It was something really low, and for a guard, that's not really the best thing. Like, I mean, I think he's a good defender. So, having that drop off from your rookie year and not having that potential to increase your playing time. This is the thing though, with each top 10 draft, not every top 10 player from an NBA draft is going to be a hit. So every year you go through the whole draft analytics, and every draft expert saying, oh, this player is going to be the home run, and this player is going to be great, and this player is going to be this. And it's just like, they're going to be wrong for a few players. And I think Culver is probably that player for this class, for the top 10 in this draft class. He potentially could get traded and get that playing time up, but I just don't see what he can really become. I'm just not really too excited by it. And I think in every top 10 from every draft class, there's going to be someone that just doesn't hit. And I think Culver's going to be that one. And yeah, I'm not really too sure about that. So yeah, I think that's more my opinion on Culver. Let's move on to the next player. So my next player is Coby White from the Chicago Bulls. Look, people might find this controversial. I have him in the sell category as well. And that's purely, I've never really liked this game from the start. He's very inefficient as well. He had that great scoring run in his rookie year where it was like historic sort of numbers. Look, he's a streaky scorer, but I think his ceiling is a sixth-man role. Chicago have DeMar DeRozan and Lonzo Ball over him right now. Look, if they want to trade him, I just don't see, like, what's his ceiling? Like, I think it's going to just be a great six-man sort of role, like a Jordan Clarkson. And look, who's really investing in Jordan Clarkson right now? You have the Filipinos because he's half Filipino, but nothing. You get some buys, but it's nothing crazy. And I think if there's two players in this class that I'd have to have as a sell, it'd have to be from this top 10 in this draft class. I'd have to say Culver and Coby White. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's just what I think. And yeah, you let me know in the comments whether you agree or not with that. So next player I've got is Jackson Hayes from Pelicans, and I'll be honest, I'm going to put him in the don't know enough category. I know Valanciunas got traded to the Pelicans, so I was hoping if Adams got traded that Hayes might step into that starting center role, but with Valanciunas coming in, I don't know if they're willing to look at him long term or anything like that, but Jackson Hayes is really now stuck behind him. I also don't know too much about him because I don't really know his play style or anything like that. I haven't looked at his averages or anything like that. I know he recently got arrested, and there's this whole viral video of the LAPD, or some sort of police force in America, putting some pretty rough force on him through his arrest, and he's kicking around. And I think the police have even gone back and said that they want the NBA to fine him. So I don't think it's going to be a massive sort of situation or anything like that with the NBA. Like, he might get who knows, like a little bit of a fine, maybe a small suspension. I can't see him being knocked out for the whole season or anything like that because it's happened a fair few times in the NBA. But yeah, I'm going to put him in the don't know enough category. So next up, Rui Hachimura from the Washington Wizards. I have him in the hold may have potential category. So Rui, being Japanese, I think will be great for the Japanese market. Never underestimate how much a country loves their players. So with Australia right now, we love our Patty Mills, we love our Dallies. Dally he was a great role player, but his cards do go for quite high in Australia. So I think the same thing will be happening with Rui. Rui's really the number one player from Japan. I can't think of any other on the top of my head that's really popped up, but regardless, he's going to be a cultural icon for them, for their basketball situation in Japan. So I think that's someone that you could hold a little bit more long-term with Rui. He's got a good situation for him in Washington right now. There's a lot of players around him. I think that Washington team can now be a playoff team. Well, they were a playoff team last season, but I think now they can have a bit more stability and build around Bradley Beal. They can probably go around Bradley Beal and Rui themselves, and then build around that and see what happens. But with Rui, his stats improved slightly from his rookie season. I know he was a massive negative defender. I think he was one of the worst in the NBA, but I feel like he can improve on that because I think you'd rather someone improve in their defense and their offense, because I feel like offensively, it's almost a bit of a gift. With defense, it really is just effort. So I'd have Rui in the hold may have potential sort of category. Last player that I will have, and I will speak about today, is Cam Reddish from the Atlanta Hawks. So if you asked me this 12 months ago, I would have had Cam Reddish in the sell category. Wasn't happy with his rookie season, very inefficient as well. But I always try to give a bit of leeway with rookies because it's a whole different game in the NBA. I always look for consistent improvement from month to month in the splits. DeAndre Hunter was a perfect example of that. When he started off, he was quite inefficient. And then as each month gone on, he kind of improved. Cam Reddish was very similar. He had a massive last month of his rookie season. But the thing is, there's a thing going around in the NBA. I'm not sure what it's called. There's a video on it on YouTube. There's a few videos on it anyway. But basically, it's not to get too sucked into the hype of the last few, or maybe the last couple of weeks of the season when a rookie does well. A lot of teams tend to rest their players, and then rookies have big games, and then also rookies get increased playing time because they have rested players as well. So then people see these boosted stats. And I think Cam Reddish was a bit of a, he sort of was able to, he benefited from that. So I wasn't really too big on him in the off season. I know everyone was big on him, and I preferred Hunter. But with the way he's played in the playoffs right now, in the playoffs, he came back from a pretty long injury, and now he's come back and played quite well. I would have Cam Reddish to finish off in the hold or may have potential category. So, yeah, I think that's I think I'd want to keep it like that in terms of the tiers I've got. I've got to be fair. I don't want to have your Zion, your Jar, and all these people in the long-term category, because if you really think about it long-term, there's not going to be too many players from each draft class that you're going to look long-term and be like, I'm going to invest in them long-term. So you've got to be quite fair with all this sort of thing, and be honest with yourself and say, like, really, after 3 or 4 years, like, what are they going to become in the NBA? Because there are great players in the NBA who have been there for 3 or 4 years and they don't get that much love. Like, you've got your Brandon Ingrams and all that sort of stuff who scores quite well, and cards don't really go as high, even though they're playing better than some of these players here. So I always try to compare it with previous players in the NBA. So yeah, I'd probably go about it like that. But yeah, that's it for the first episode. If this goes quite well, I'll go into part 2 where we go through the next 10 picks of the NBA, or whoever the next 10 Prism cards from the NBA. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it, whether you guys agree or not. And if you want to go through each player on the list and say what you think, what tier they are, I'll happily look into it. Like, I love to hear what people's opinions are. Again, I always have, my opinion can be swayed quite easily when I learn a little bit more. Like I said, with Cam Reddish, I wasn't really the biggest fan, and now I actually do like him. So, yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think about it all, and if you guys like the series or not. But as always, guys, I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everyone has been having a great time with the hobby right now. I appreciate it if you've made it till the end, and I'll see you guys in future videos. Take care.